What's going on, YouTube? Ferocity here. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, I'm deciding to tackle the task of ranking every single Call of Duty game, my favorites, some of the ones I dislike, and not making the entire internet mad at me for it. So I understand this is a completely subjective list, and you're going to have totally different opinions than me, and I'd love to hear your opinions down below in that comment section. So please let me have it. Don't hold back. Tell me how big of an idiot I am if I disparaged your favorite Call of Duty game, okay? So with that out of the way, let's get started with the first game in this franchise, the aforementioned Call of Duty. And frankly, for a game that started it all, I'm not going to be too harsh on it. I also don't have an extensive playing history of this game. I've played it a grand total of 2 times, so I don't have much criticism for it or much praise for it, but it is the game that started everything, and I think it deserves to be in C because of that. Now, Call of Duty 2 deserves to be in B only because it started the multiplayer trend in Call of Duty, and that to me is important because Call of Duty wouldn't be where it is today, whether you like it or not, if it wasn't for Call of Duty taking that leap into multiplayer. The disappointing part, though, was that Call of Duty 3 took a step back and just wasn't as strong of a game as Call of Duty 2 was. This was the first time, I believe, that it released in a year after year life cycle. So the original Call of Duty game had 2 years, then Call of Duty 2 and 3, there was only a year in between them like we know now, so the yearly release cycle. So it is what it is, but Call of Duty 3 can be forgiven because after Call of Duty 3 released, the biggest change, the biggest innovation in Call of Duty happened, and that was Call of Duty 4. This was the introduction of kill streaks, the introduction of perks, the introduction of custom classes. All of this gave more choice to the player and rewarded the player for doing well. Call of Duty 4 was a massive hit. It was gigantic. I love this game. I will always love this game, and I think it started the golden era for Call of Duty. And inside that golden era, we obviously had the next game, which was World at War. Went back to World War II after we experienced the modern era, and it was a pretty good game. It also introduced one of the biggest and most beloved facets of Call of Duty, which is zombies. And World at War flourished because of the introduction of zombies. I would say the multiplayer did take a step back in comparison to Call of Duty 4, but having zombies in that game was a tremendous plus. And I really do like the game for what it is. It's not my favorite. It does not belong in S tier because it just didn't change the game enough. Even though it brought in zombies, it didn't have that innovation change that we saw in Call of Duty 4. Now, I think if I did this tier list 5 years ago, I think I would have Modern Warfare 2 in S tier. But it falls to A tier solely because of all of the issues that game had. I love that game for everything it gave to Call of Duty, all of the enjoyment I had with that game. Customizable kill streaks was always cool. But the problem that I had with this game is that there was just no developer intervention whatsoever. And obviously we know why. There was a massive lawsuit going on between Infinity Ward and its developers and Activision. So it was a massive deal, and they couldn't push out the fixes they needed. I think that Modern Warfare 2 would be an S tier game if they had fixed the one-man army noob tube situation. The Javelin glitch lasted far too long. Even the care package glitch lasted far too long. But it is what it is. It's water under the bridge now. I love this game, but it unfortunately is not an S tier game. And the same goes for Call of Duty Black Ops. Where is it on this tier list? Why can't I find it? There it is. Oh, it's also an A tier game. And mostly just due to the fact that it had its own problems, it had its own warts, but it wasn't an S tier game in my opinion. It just didn't belong there. It's a great game. I love it for everything it gave this franchise. I loved the COD points. I loved the wager matches. I absolutely adored the emblem designer. All these things were massive additions to the Call of Duty franchise. But all in all, to me, it just doesn't hold up as well as Call of Duty 4 does, especially when it comes to innovation change. And the same will go for Modern Warfare 3. Another game that, in my opinion, belongs in that A tier. It's a great game. It's a fantastically fun game. But it's just can't reach the S tier. It doesn't have that S tier momentum, in my opinion. Still love the game. I would love to see a remaster of Modern Warfare 3, if I'm being honest. A lot of fantastic maps were in that game, and just a lot of fun. I also like the fact that they introduced the specialist streaks. That was cool. That was a big change, and I'm kind of want it back, if I'm going to be completely honest. Now we have to move to, in my opinion, the best game in the franchise, which is Black Ops 2, which is why it goes into S tier, obviously. This game brought in score streaks. This game brought in the pick 10 system. This game was fantastic from top to bottom. It brought in reset for your stats. It allowed you to prestige master and have everything unlocked. It was, in my opinion, one of the most innovative games in this franchise, and that's why it belongs in S tier, is because it was innovative. It was different than its predecessors in a lot of ways. Even the way that we looked at attachments and perks and everything like that was modified by Black Ops 2, and the maps were fantastic. Yes, this game had problems with camera angles. Yes, this game had problems with their shotguns and snipers, but all in all, this is just such a sound game, and I truly miss the glory days of Call of Duty, and this is kind of where the golden era ends. Yes, there will be a couple more appearances in this section of the tier list, but when it comes to 6 straight years of amazing releases, we just don't see that again in this tier list, because unfortunately Call of Duty cannot gain the type of momentum that it did during this era. From Call of Duty 4 all the way to Black Ops 2, the perfect bookends to this tremendous era for Call of Duty, and unfortunately we have to move on to one of the worst games in this franchise, which is Call of Duty Ghosts. And it goes into D tier, mostly because it's salvaged by an okay campaign. Outside of that, this game isn't anything special. The multiplayer sucked. Their take on the new perk system was awful. Basically, everything Call of Duty Ghosts brought to the table just wasn't even good. And honestly, it doesn't deserve D. I'm going to move it to F. I'm going to move it to F. That's where it belongs. F tier. You're an F tier game, Ghosts. F tier. Now, Advanced Warfare, okay, released after Ghosts, and there's a few places you could put it. You know, for some, I'm sure it belongs here in A. For others, I could see why you'd make the argument for F. But I'm going to put it in D, because at least Sledgehammer Games tried something different, and they didn't succeed. But I can recognize the attempt at being bold and different and new, and trying something out, taking that risk. And pretty much since Advanced Warfare, they haven't really been taking risks. They've been playing it very, very, very safe. And it would have been nice if Call of Duty would do that more often. So I know that some people liked it, some people hated it. It also introduced supply drops, so maybe that deserves it to be an F tier. But regardless of that fact, I think it's not an F tier game. It's a D tier game. Oh, Black Ops 3. I think you belong in A tier, if I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, you're not an S tier game, but you're an A tier game. Yeah, you're an A tier game. I love this game, man. I really do. Just a fantastically fun game. Changed up a few things, and I can understand that. I like it. I like Black Ops 3. Specialists, the movement system, all of that worked out well in Call of Duty. I've talked about this game endlessly on my channel. I actually have 2 of pretty much the exact same videos, if I'm going to be honest. Oops. Talking about why Black Ops 3 was the last great Call of Duty game. But still hold that opinion, and I love this game for what it is. Infinite Warfare. Actually, I believe there needs to be a new tier just for Infinite Warfare. How do I add a new tier? That's not what I need to do. Oh, it won't let me. Anyways, Infinite Warfare, if I could go into a tier lower than F, I would. This game stunk. It stunk. There's nothing redeeming about it. Just a bad game. Bad decision making. Modern Warfare Remastered. B tier, mostly because you had to buy the terrible Infinite Warfare to play it for the first, I think, 6 or 7 months. They also brought in paid DLC. They also brought in supply drops. So there was some negatives and some positives, but honestly, for what it was, I love the fact that they remastered this. It belongs in B tier for that remaster. It's not perfect. They didn't fix any of the problems that Call of Duty 4 had. 3 times frag was still an issue. The M16 was still overpowered. But all in all, I enjoyed playing Call of Duty MWR a ton. Now, World War II. This is a game that I think at launch probably belongs here. And I think that it tried to do different things with, you know, the headquarters and all that stuff. And honestly, I enjoyed it for what it was at the time. It had its problems because you had the different factions that had different powers, and it wasn't great. We'll put it that way. But then they overhauled it, and honestly, I think it could sneak into B tier. If I'm being honest, I think that people slept on it. And again, I talked about this in a recent video where I said, if Modern Warfare 2 was a 2-year life cycle game, we'd probably look back on Modern Warfare 2 a little bit more fondly. I liked a lot of the maps in that game. Now, granted, it only launched with 10 maps, so it was an incomplete launch, which is pretty common now for Call of Duty games, but I'll leave it in B tier, because I think after the overhaul and what people played, it was a totally different game. And I think the inclusion of headquarters was really fun, innovative. You got to do your daily orders, which I always liked. It just gave you a reason to continue playing. So I enjoyed that. Now, Black Ops 4 is also going to fall in this B tier. I have a love-hate relationship with Black Ops 4. The meta when I played was LMGs everywhere and just kind of abusing the system that Black Ops 4 put forward, which kind of made it a less fun game. But I can acknowledge the fact that this is a good game. It's a half-decent game, and I would love to see another title in the Black Ops era. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what they do. Now, they have Blackout as a separate thing in this tier list, and again, I think it goes in B tier. I thought it was pretty fun. I liked the Treyarch take on the Battle Royale. It was different because this was before Call of Duty ever had Warzone, so I'm not going to hate on it, but yeah, Blackout B tier. Modern Warfare. Yeah, S tier game, man. S tier game, one of the best maps in the franchise, and Piccadilly. Oh no, I'm just kidding. This fucking game sucks. It's a D tier game. I know for some people they absolutely adore Modern Warfare 2019. I get it. But this game for me was awful. Through and through. Map design was terrible. I hate the new engine. The movement just was clunky to me. And I just don't like this game. And unfortunately for me, it didn't retain me. So, Modern Warfare, D. Black Ops Cold War, C tier game. This game was completely held back by the fact that Sledgehammer dropped the ball. And Treyarch didn't get an opportunity to build the game they wanted. And this game was also held back by the fact that it didn't have enough developer intervention. Stop me if you've heard that before. But this game suffered from a lack of updates. This game suffered from a lack of content at times. And frankly, it just needed a little bit more TLC to really get where it needed to be. And it could have been a really good game. It could have been up in the A or B tier if, Treyarch gave a damn about it, but it was very clear they didn't. Again, another L for Call of Duty with Call of Duty Vanguard. Not a very good game. I think it speaks for itself. The game was bad at launch. It was bad during its life cycle. Not a good game. Call of Duty Roman numeral 2 also goes in the D tier. And the reason for that is because this game, stop me if you've heard this before, lacks developer intervention. There's not enough listening to the community here. Modern Warfare 2 could have been a lot better of a game, but unfortunately it was held back because Infinity Ward sucks at their job. Simple as that. Very disappointed, very upset about this because I had high hopes for Modern Warfare 2, and unfortunately Activision and Infinity Ward have turned their backs on their community every step of the way. Now, Call of Duty Mobile, I can't really rank, so it'll go C because I've never played it. Same thing goes with Call of Duty Online. I've never played it, so I can't rank it fairly. I'm sure you have it differently ranked, but this is how I have it ranked. The original Warzone, you're going B, my friend. And the reason why you're going B was you were pretty fun. Now, I didn't love Warzone. I still felt that Apex and Fortnite were better Battle Royale games, even PUBG. But I understood the craze around it, right? It was Call of Duty really putting a lot of effort forward for a Battle Royale game, and I can get on board with that. So I don't love it. I don't hate it either. So I think it belongs in B. It could even sneak into A if I'm being honest, because of some of its interesting takes on the Battle Royale genre, some of the decisions it chose to do, some of the innovations. And this is Call of Duty at its best, I think, is when they're trying new things and taking risks. Now, unfortunately, they took some really weird risks with Warzone 2.0. It's not an F game, but it definitely is a D game. It's getting better now that they're basically reverting all of their changes back to the original Warzone. But it was a game that was never needed. It never needed to happen, and I do not understand why they decided to make a bigger and bolder Warzone when the original Warzone worked just fine. So in summary, we have a lot of games in that S to B tier, which showcase just how strong this franchise is. Unfortunately, the last time that we got a game in that tier was 2018. From the mainline multiplayer games. Unfortunately, every game released after that got as much of a C rating, but most of them are Ds and Fs, and that is because Call of Duty is on a downward trend, and it's unfortunate to say, but that's just the truth. I would like to see more innovation in Call of Duty. I'd like to see big changes to Call of Duty in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, that's my tier list. I'd love to see what you guys come up with, so leave me yours down below in the description, or down below in the comment section. You know, hit me up on Twitter with your tier list. Anything you'd like to see, let me know. Comment down below. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.